while this cabin was originally designed, and still the main purpose is to be a library, microscopy lab, and the solar system electronics, I did want to at least put in a kitchenette so that if I ever did a class or something of that nature, or just while I'm working in here, that I could at least, make a quick meal, wash, some cups or something. And I was going to be staying in an RV, but the first winter that I had it here and had it pretty much at least dried in, insulated, and all that, I realized it made absolutely no sense to have an RV that's poorly insulated, try to have it have a solar system, it have a water system, it have a gas system, it have a toilet system, and then the cabin duplicate a lot of that. The cabin is a much it's got more room, it's much sturdier, it is a whole lot better insulated. So I just decided to go ahead and at least make it where I can stay here overnight, occasionally and stuff. Not a full-time residence, but it'd be okay. So this is kind of the kitchenette that I've got. Just put in, some brackets, and the shelf is actually part of a bifold closet door that I had. So it fit, and when I cut it to length, I just put the end that, because it's hollow core, put the end that's kind of gross and all that kind of stuff up against there where you wouldn't see it, painted it, good to go. Added another quick little shelf for the microwave, just using a little camp stove. I don't do a whole lot on it, but I do cook some with it. Got a couple of little skillets and stuff like that. Like I did a pound of ground beef with some veggies tonight. I've also got the Instapot up there. I use that a lot for rice and stuff like that. Magnetic board. Turn that on, little magnetic thing there for utensils. The lighting in this cabin is a mixture of 120 and 12 volt. So that's just an RV 12 volt light. Still got to do the trim in the corner to hide the wires and stuff. I like to use a little bit of both. When I can use 12 volt or DC, I like to, because it's a little more efficient coming off the batteries. I don't have to convert it back to AC. It also gives me a little bit of redundancy in that if the inverter system goes off, or if I need to take it offline for some reason, then those items which are DC will still work, such as lighting, such as the water pump, a few different things like that are still DC. I put a very, very small sink in. The expectation was just for mugs and glasses. I am doing more than that. If I continue to do it and need it, then I do have room. I can cut that out and put a slightly bigger sink in there. And I may do that. I may put a slightly bigger one with, the fancier kind of faucet and stuff. The soap that I use, for the most part, what's in here is a bioavailable. It's not a biodegradable. It's a step beyond that. It actually turns into plant food. So very much, because right now the gray water system is... I don't have a whole lot of gray water to start with. Right now it's just a pipe going out onto the ground for gray water. It is not black water. I have no black water whatsoever. But eventually I'm going to be doing kind of a multi-stage reed bed, worm composting kind of system for that. Originally I was using my 5 cubic foot freezer with a device that turns it into a refrigerator. It's nothing more than a temperature sensor that just goes between the lid and the just kind of hangs in there. No holes, no modification needs done. You plug this into that thing, you plug it into the wall, and you set a temperature, and it turns it into a very efficient refrigerator. The bad thing about it being chest is you're always having to go all the way down to the bottom and stuff like that. And it's a fairly decent sized compressor when it does kick on, although my solar system can handle it easily. just IKEA shelves, keep some food up there. And I just recently got this little refrigerator and put it in. That gives me a little bit more counter space, and I'm not having to, I got cords hanging down. I don't have to constantly try to reach in here, lift the lid, reach in here, and bump my head into this. So these cords are going to go away. It's some additional lighting. Now this looks like a fairly decent size set of cabinets here with a lot of storage. There is not as much storage as you would think because water. So I do have a shelf. I do have a drawer here for some baggies and stuff, cleaning supplies. The water system here, first of all, when I first started working on this, I did not have any insulation underneath the floor. I do have it somewhat insulated now. I've got bats underneath there. I'm hoping to eventually take the bats down and spray foam it. But when it got really cold, especially, you know, below freezing and stuff, and with the doors shut, it got very cold under there. That is, but I'm trying to, with the water, not have any pipes freeze. So really, I don't have any water coming in from outside. What I have is a 50-gallon, that's water tank. So I've got a little bit of storage, but not much. But that's actually a 50-gallon RV water tank that I just cut the wall when I put the IKEA cabinets together. I just cut the hole to match it. And so you've got it there. And then here, you've got the other end of it, and you've got the plumbing. Again, 12 volt RV pump. It simply comes out here, because this had 4 fittings, one on each corner. I've got the output coming out into this little pump, which comes up, and it fed the cold water. I've got a very small little air tank there that helps keep this from having to come on and off quite as often. The bigger the tank you've got, the less often this has to come open. It's got its preset pressure. I do have another one I may eventually put in there. I'm going to redo all this. I started with just this cross-linked kind of vinyl tubing, which works fine as long as it's just cold water. But once you get into hot water, you really don't need to be using this. And I am planning at some point to take all of this out and completely redo it with PEX. Probably instead of half inch, I'll probably go at least 3/4, make it much neater. But water comes from the tank out here. Over there is actually the input. So the way I fill this right now, I've got a piece of tubing, and I've just got a hose bib valve that I can turn on and off, and then I keep it capped. So this is where water goes in, but it goes in via a pump temporarily, and this is until I can get something, an actual full water, rainwater catchment water system going. When I get the full water system going, this will probably be the pump that I'll be using. It's a little bit bigger pump. It's already got its own tank, but I will be adding to that. So while I've got it, what I do is this gets connected. So I undo the cap, I screw this on, and I open up the valve. There's another pipe. This is the intake, and I bring the water in these 7-gallon tanks. So I'll bring about 4 at a time. Just take the lid off, stick this down in there, and pump it in. Now, if I'm pumping it in, water going in, air's got to go out. So up in the corner up there, you can't hardly see, I have just a vent pipe. So at the highest point, I've got a vent pipe going up, and it is capped off with something just so it lets the air go in and out, but it doesn't let any bugs or dust or anything. So it's got kind of a filter over it. And I just have to be real careful not to overflow it. And I just filled it up a little bit. I do have one port that I'm not using. Don't need to right now. Once I get my full rainwater harvesting system going, this hose, I may leave this ability to be able to fill it from the inside like this, but I may also tee off of it, put down and put a valve also here and be able to fill it from the outside, whether I haul it in, whether it comes from a rainwater system that's been filtered appropriately or whatever. But I want the valve here so that I don't overfill it. I can sit here and I can watch it. And I like the idea of being able to keep this full and keep it indoors for the really, really cold water. When it's not freezing, I might be able to keep it hooked up all the time and just fill it as I need. I might even be able to kind of put in a bypass here where I don't have to keep this full all the time. I could run strictly off the outdoor pump. But then when I need to, move a couple of valves, and I could fill this up, disconnect it, and drain it so it doesn't freeze, and have 50 gallons of water at a time. The drain, I do have the drain from the kitchen sink here and one from the bathroom sink going. There is a vent. The vent is very low. It doesn't go up into the attic, so it would not really pass any kind of muster on that, but there is a little bit of a vent to keep it going, and it just goes straight down and straight out. It's dark outside, I'm not going to show you that. But again, I may redo this at some point. Of course, I'll have to empty the tank to be able to do that. If I do that, then when I reorganize it, I'll put a valve so that I can do work without having to empty a 50-gallon tank. But I would like to get in here, add a little bit bigger pressure tank, maybe move the pump a little bit, or even put a bigger pump in, but make it a little bit more room in here. Since it is 12 volt, I do have, just like in an RV, I've actually got, you hear it running, I've actually got an on-off switch so that I can turn it off if I'm going to be gone for a long time and I have any concerns, or for whatever reason, I can just turn it off. It's just a simple little 12 volt switch there. As for hot water, I recently put a 6-gallon electric single element hot water heater in. It does not, I still need to do the vent and the drain for safety. It does not have an expansion tank. We've done them for years without them. But I did this rather than an instant on. I just don't have any experience with the instant ones on. I have now bought one I'm going to play with. But I did make sure, and I put braided metal as the first part, not the PEX directly onto it, just in case so it doesn't get too hot or anything. It doesn't look neat, but it's functional. And when I finish all this off, it will be hidden probably with a curtain. I'm not going to do a wall and a door, because if I need to get up there, I need curtain, and instead of maybe pushing it back or something like that, I just want to be able to take it completely down and have full access. So I've got storage up there, but I do have hot water. It is on its own circuit. It's a 1500 watt single element, 120, and I ran a dedicated circuit for that using 10 gauge wire, which is overkill for it. But this is my little kitchenette. It is functional. I have water. It can be 0 degrees outside. The most I might have to do, I'm not worried about it freezing at all, but it does get a little bit cold underneath there, so I may open the door just to keep the temperature within the cabinet the same as outside the cabinet, so I don't get a lot of condensation. But my heating system, which is right now a mini split and gas, I do have a gas wall furnace. I have no problem whatsoever keeping this as toasty as I want. It would be nice to have a wood fire in here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. It's so small that would just be extra space taken up. I don't need it to be able to keep things hot in or warm in here. And I would have to make more holes to for the vent and everything. But anyway, there's a couple other ideas from that you might find useful. Yes, I've given up substantial storage under there, but it allows me to have enough water for quite a while without having to worry about anything freezing. I do not have a shower at the moment. It's one of my next projects is to try to do like an outdoor shower of some kind, or a room that, you know, I might have to go outside to get into a room out on the porch or something of that nature. But now that I've got hot water, I may try to rig up some kind of a way to have a shower. Currently, I basically do, use a washcloth and do, a standing bucket kind of bath. It works. It's not the greatest. I wouldn't necessarily want to invite people over and have that system. But for me, by myself, it works fine.